Welcome, 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 everyone, to Bookaccino Live for August. August, known as the month of the year, where part of the country is going back to the school and part of the country is going on vacation. That's the way we see it. And we always say that July is the only month of the year that no one is in school of little kids. So here we go. We're going to present to you what we consider a pretty good, really good lineup of what you want to be reading this August. Okay. Now, there's something really interesting about this collection of books. When we put this up yesterday, are we in a blue and green mode or what? I mean, seriously, look at all the blue and green covers. Okay, Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt was your top pick by Ben Reeves. We've got my bets on copy for that for you. We've got a fabulous review, and we've got an interview with Ben, which was absolutely terrific. I loved getting to meet him. Kristen Harmel, Meet Me in Paris. At the Times list, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but another one of your picks. The Half-Life by Rachel Beanland. Okay, The Half-Life, really interesting. Rachel's book is both it's both a bets on and I have an interview with her. And in the interview, you can learn how her childhood, part of her childhood, was spent in the place where the Half-Life is set. I haven't read The Pirate Queen yet. It's coming out in September by Ariel Lawhorn. Jodi Picoult, her 30th book, Hollow Bones. The Amateur by Chris Bajalian, which is a bets on. And it is also, I have an interview with him as well as with Lisa Scottolini. We've got something else from Lisa Scottolini for you later in this presentation. Her book here is This Changes Everything, which was a bets on, and I have an interview with Lisa. So I know summer's been busy, probably with family plans, vacation plans. We've got a lot of videos that you can catch up on with author interviews. Okay, let's talk fiction. All right, we're going to start with Sunrise by Taya Obrecht, and it's out this week. In 2024, Nina's small engine plane crashes into a lake in the Wyoming mountains. She stumbles upon Sunrise, a town of the Old West that holds a missing link to a ghost story 100 years in the making. In 2003, Sandaw's golden boy Call is putting the finishing touches on the town's annual historical reenactment. But when an upstart would-be author comes to him with questions about one of Sunrise's most beloved figures, it threatens to upend everything he thought he knew about the city and himself. In the 1902, town founder, gunslinger, and legendary pulp hero Anton Vargas returns to Sunrise and quickly takes charge of a group searching for a missing boy. But who really is Vargas? These three strangers are separated by time and circumstance, but Sunrise's many secrets are like gunpowder, quiet and contained until they encounter a spark. So there you go, Taya's new book. Next, we've got A Tender Age from Chang Ray Lee. It's also out this week from Riverhead Books. The natural descendant of characters like Huckleberry Finn and Holden Caulfield, Korean American Jiang Ji is torn between competing ideas of himself. At home, his working class parents dote on him. Outside, he's part of a roving pack of kids with dominion over a derelict baseball field, weedy parking lot, and rusty jungle gym. Getting into and out of trouble is all-consuming. But the summer that he turns 11, he becomes embroiled in a staggering series of events, reverberating far beyond himself and his family. So there's A Tender Age. Next, we've got Day from Edwidge Dandicott, which is on sale on August 25th. Is home the place where we are born, or is it the place where we die? These questions haunt Magnolia, a successful Haitian-American real estate agent in Miami. She hears gunfire while at a shopping mall. She takes shelter in a nearby restaurant. And once she's safely home, Magnolia keeps this dramatic event from everyone. But given her life back, she begins to see everything clearly. Her extraordinary bond with her daughter Zoe, her nearly broken relationship with Zoe's father, the challenges of her mentally troubled mother, and her father's affair with a woman who has borne him a child. While struggling through the labyrinth of her past, Magnolia also must come to terms with the losses sustained that life-altering day and nearly every day by her parents and sibling in Haiti. So there we've got, I think it's a beautiful cover on this book. And what we've also got is someone who's feeling a divided life. Next, I know you all love The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. This new book by her is called The Birthing Tree. It is coming on September 1st. Born under the shadow of a birthing tree sacred to generations of Mi'kmaq women, Alette Paul grows up outside a small Nova Scotia town with her fierce, loving grandmother, Kiju. Her mother died bringing her into the world under that very tree. Father remains a mystery no one will name. As she comes of age, she navigates love, loss, and a personal tragedy that veers her from the path her grandmother wanted for her. She becomes a nurse trained in modern medicine, yet she carries Kiju's teachings close. Years later, when the call comes that Kiju has died, Ayet returns home to a crumbling house. As she digs to uncover who her family really is, each revelation pulls her deeper into a web of long guarded silences, dangerous loyalties, and generational wounds that refuse to stay buried. So there's the birthing tree. Next up, we've got The Disappearers by Marlon James coming on September 1st. In 1988, 8 men in Kingston, Jamaica begin rehearsals for a play. The men are strangers to one another, and each has a different reason for being involved. But they all share one inescapable truth. All of them are gay, a batty man in Jamaican argot, and all of them must contend with the dangers that such a truth lays bare. One night, a mob savagely attacks them, killing one of the men. And for the survivors, the recovery is as much emotional as it is physical. As their bodies heal, each man grapples with the violence, the hatred, and the rage that the attack made plain. Some try to ignore what the attack has unearthed, while others double down on retribution. And this is the winner of this on the long list for the Booker Prize in 2026. Next, from Sarah Addison Allen, we've got a book called Paper Ghosts coming on September 1st. For decades, the women of Westerhouse have unsettled and fascinated their small, timeless North Carolina town. Their home is full of whispers, old griefs, and uncanny knowing. But when Wilhelmina Wester reaches out to the granddaughter she once pushed away, long buried truths begin to stir. In 1976, restless young Wilhelmina falls for a stranded musician who brings freedom and the promise of another life to her carefully controlled world. Their brief, incandescent love story promises to escape the pull of the Wester legacy until Wilhelmina makes a fateful choice that changes her life forever. In the present day, returning home is the last thing that Bailey Wester wants. Yet, as she reconnects with Wilhelmina, the grandmother she feared, Bailey begins to understand the love, heartbreak, and impossible choices that shape the women in her family. So, you may remember Sarah as the author of the best-selling book, The Other Birds. Next, from Chloe Benjamin, you've got Understory. That is going to be a really fun thing to try to find in a store. Under and stories upside down. Okay, that may work. It's coming September 1st. At the edge of the world, biologist Laura Salter is hiding from everything she's ever known. For 10 hours a day, 6 days per week, she works as a dishwasher at the McMurdo Station, an isolated research base in Antarctica. She tells no one that before she arrived, she was a renowned young scientist with a promising career and a family. But even in this remote outpost, she can't escape her past. When a strange light appears across the ice and it draws a group of physicists to McMurdo, her former husband, Eli, won't be far behind. Laurel is captivated by the ark, its surreal glow, the way it seems almost alive. And though Eli is reluctant to test her wildest theory, Laurel is convinced that the ark leads down a rabbit hole and into a world that they can barely imagine. I'm looking at this today and I'm picturing the eclipse for some reason. I don't know why. I'm looking at this cover and that is what's coming to me. Eclipses all over Europe, not here. Okay, next we've got Fallen for France by Elizabeth Letts, which is coming on August 25th. Doe is 6 years old when he sets off to apprentice far from his high Atlas village in Morocco. That same month, a magnificent filly is born, and for a brief time the mare belongs to the boy. But Badeau's heart is broken when a soldier steals his horse and disappears into France. Estelle, a young woman in France, finds a distressed Arabian mare wandering alone in the meadow, determined to look after this radiant creature. But she soon loses both the horse and her brother. Thomas is an Englishman hardened by his experience as a wartime veterinarian in France. He finds the mare and promises to protect her and the woman who once loved her, but he doubts his own ability to keep anyone safe. These separate strands of these strangers' journeys ultimately converge, propelling them to make momentous choices that will change the course of their lives. And this was what we call book group speed dating title. It means one of the books that publishers presented that they felt would be good for book groups. So there you've got Fallen for France. Next, we got Barman of the Ritz by Philippe Collin. It is being published for the first time in the United States on September 1st by Scribner. Paris, 1940. The Nazis have descended on Paris and the occupation has begun. Businesses across the city have shuttered, but the legendary Ritz Hotel remains opened, its dazzling lights still burning bright on the Place Vendôme. But when it becomes the favorite watering hole of the occupying forces, its barman, Frank Meyer, is forced to adapt to a new clientele. But Frank has a secret. He's Jewish. Tensions rise as the war progresses, but Frank refuses to leave his post behind the bar. Unbeknownst to the Nazi officers he serves right night after night, he forms precarious alliances with unlikely accomplices in order to save other Jewish families in the city and to keep his loved ones alive. So, Chris Cleave has said this is a spellbinding novel of extraordinary elegance and moral depth. So, there's The Barman of the Ritz. It sounds really interesting. Next, we've got Library of Forbidden Books by Mario Escobar. This is coming on September 1st. In Berlin, 1933, the vibrant culture heart of Germany is darkening under the shadow of the Nazi regime. For Helene Nathan, one of the first female librarians at the prestigious German library, the books she cherishes are no longer sources of knowledge. They are targets. As the government begins its systematic purge of literature, compiling lists of forbidden works, and orchestrating public book burnings, Helene realizes she cannot stand by as her world turns to ash. Determined to resist the encroaching tyranny, Helene and her colleagues embark on a perilous mission of secretly connecting and hiding the very books slated for destruction. It's a dangerous act of defiance in a city where every neighbor could be an informant and the Gestapo are a constant looming threat. Her quiet rebellion is especially complicated by the fact that Helene is half Jewish, and Rudolf Kummer, the ruthless Nazi officer, seemingly has a personal vendetta against her. So there's the Library of Forbidden Books. Now we've got some thrillers and mysteries. Start with Karen Slaughter's The Secrets We Hide, which is out this week. 1601 Iris Drive looks like every other house on the quiet residential street. Rumors are rampant about the Vickery family and what goes on behind closed doors. When gunshots ring out, Sheriff Emmy Clifton and her sister, ex-federal agent Jude Archer, discover a devastating crime scene. Allison Vickery has been murdered in her own kitchen, and her teenage daughter is bleeding upstairs, left for dead. Everyone thinks they know what happened, but secrets are buried everywhere in this small town, and it's up to Emmy Clifton to uncover the truth. Harlan Coben says Karen Slaughter is always a must-read. Next, we've got Under the Falls by Richard Russo. It's one of our word of mouth titles, which we'll tell you a little bit about later in this presentation. It's out this week. When Tyler Sinclair left Stone Mountain at 18, he had no plans of returning. Armed with a guitar, his most prized possession, he disappeared without so much as a goodbye. And 18 years later, Tyler, now the frontman of a famous band aptly named Stone Mountain, finds himself returning to his hometown for a one-night only benefit concert to support his old friend Doc, who lost feeling in his legs following a childhood accident. As Tyler ascends the mountain, memories of his child come rushing back. Memories of his abusive father, his despondent mother, of the friends he left behind. And he quickly learns that for many people on Stone Mountain, the past doesn't feel that long ago, and not everyone has been eagerly awaiting his return. So there we've got Under the Falls. Next, from Ken Kruger, who is, I know, a favorite of so many of our readers, we've got God's Country, which is coming on August 18th. This is going to be a word of mouth pick. We'll talk about that a little bit later on as one of the fall reading selections. Those contests that we run for just 24 hours. We're just wrapping up summer today, and we'll be picking up fall, I believe, next week. See, we go right from one season into the next, folks. So what happens in this book? Preparing for a family trip into the Boundary Waters, Cork O'Connor is troubled by ominous visions about his future. Ignoring the warnings, he uncovers signs of violence while searching for his missing friend, Cordell Bishop. Soon he is forced to negotiate with dangerous criminals, the Kennedy brothers, who are seeking their late father's hidden stash. Facing escalating danger and difficult choices, Cork grapples with his darkest instincts as he helps others escape and eventually takes justice into his own hands. And if I remember correctly, this is one of maybe two books from the series that are written in the first person. And the one thing about this series is you can pick up anywhere in between. I didn't start with book one, but I was still able to pick up the story and enjoy it. So know that if you haven't read any before, jump in with God's Country. Okay, we've got My Sister's Gonna Kill Me by Nina Simon. It's coming on August 18th. Liv and Mandy Chisholm's yearly sister trip is an attempt to bond as their lives increasingly diverge. This year, they take off for a rafting adventure through the breathtaking depths of the Grand Canyon with a group of strangers. But beyond the terrors of whitewater rapids, sibling squabbles, and rogue reptiles, the ferocious beauty of the river carries a dark undercurrent and an unexpected guest, a murderer in their midst. When a fellow traveler is found dead and another corpse sips the water, the rafting trip flips from idyllic sister vacation to high stakes murder investigation. Every suspect has a secret, every clue is drenched in mystery, and Liv and Mandy can hardly trust each other, let alone their own instincts. I like that we've got two books taking place on the water. Ken actually is leaving for a Boundary Water experience with some readers today, and he's going to be up there where I hope the smoke is not still bad, but he's going to be up there having an adventure, and this one takes place on the water as well. So where are we? We're vacationing still, folks. Okay, now we've got Promise Me Never by Liv Constantine on sale August 18th. Aspiring writer Savannah's scheme to meet superstar horror novelist Bennett Bryson turns out better than she ever imagined. Not only does her charming and handsome literary idol offer to read her work, he's instantly smitten with her. After whirlwind romance, Savannah says yes to marriage, and the two settle into Bennett's secluded upstate home. But just as Savannah thinks she's got it made, cracks start to appear in her perfect new life. Bennett's behavior becomes dark and controlling, and everywhere Savannah cannot escape the shadow of Bennett's first wife, the free-spirited and passionate artist Poppy, who died in a tragic accident, but still seems to be Savannah's rival for Bennett's attention. Then comes an enigmatic warning. Bennett is not who he seems. We knew that was coming, folks, right? Never as it seems. We know that. The woman who came before Savannah have disappeared, and Savannah could be next. So just remember, never as it seems. Not as he seems. Okay, this book, we have a history with this book. The Secret Dinner by Rafael Montes. I'm going to start out by saying that this is being first published in the United States on August 18th. But this book has been on the bestseller list in Brazil for something like 10 years, and he's a leading horror writer down there. We went to a party. Those of you who read the newsletter saw the pictures from this party. And let me read you what the book is about first, and then I can talk to you more about the party. Dante, Piglet, Miguel, and Hugo are your average students trying to make ends meet with part-time jobs, excited about bright futures at their fingertips. So when their rent skyrockets, they struggle to keep their new lives and big dreams afloat. They need to make money however they can. In order to keep their apartment, they adopt an unorthodox plan and are soon sucked into a dark world of secret dinner parties, catering to the twisted fantasies of Rio's elite. What starts as a joke quickly spirals out of their control. The four friends fall deeper into this dark underworld and earn more money. The stakes get higher and the consequences deadlier, revealing devious depths that lurk within each of them and threaten not only their friendship, but also their lives. Well, when they're putting together this first secret dinner, they realize that people want to have humans to eat, which is just like the most crazy thing, and they want to be able to do this. So they get one body and something happens with that one and they end up using a different body and how they get it. I got to about the middle of the book before we went to the party where they were serving food that night. And we were sitting there like every time they brought something around, I was like, oh my gosh, is this like human person? Is this real food? And they kept telling us, no, 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 this is food. In the back of my head, I couldn't help thinking this. And every time I was there with Tom and Francesca, and we were just sitting in a chair going, is this like good eating or not? But they had the best cocktails with this little whipped thing up on top that I am going to figure out how to make. But Book, if you really enjoy horror, is so well done. And this is his first foray into the States and a super, super fun party. Okay, next we've got That Night by Gillian McAllister, and it is out on August 18th, and it's now streaming on Netflix. So look at that. You can do both at the same time. On vacation in Europe, Franny makes two urgent phone calls, one to her sister and one to her brother. Siblings come running, and they find their sister covered in blood, kneeling over an unmoving body. There's been an accident. Franny has hit a man with a car, and she needs help. They bury the body, and they make a promise they'll never tell anyone. When the police come calling, the siblings' lives start to spiral. They begin to doubt their trust in each other. What really happened that night, and who's going to be the first to crack? So there we've got That Night by Gillian McAllister. Okay, Big Little Truths. Yeah, remember Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty? This is the sequel. It's coming on August 25th, and it's also going to be a show on, I believe it's HBO. It's an HBO show. The last time we saw the women in Big Little Lies, their children were 5 years old. Now they're teenagers. When the high school principal receives a threatening package in the mail, word spreads quickly throughout the community. But Madeline, Celeste, Jane, Renata, and Bonnie have other things to worry about. Celeste's mother-in-law, Mary Louise, is behaving oddly. Madeline is facing perhaps the biggest challenge of her life. Jane is at a dangerous fork in her marriage. Bonnie has realized there's only so much solace in yoga, and Renata is living her best life. Revenge is sweet. When a stranger begins lurking around the school, asking supposedly innocent questions, this tightly connected group of women finally must face the full repercussions of the big little truths they have and haven't shared with their kids. So there's Big Little Truths. I have to get a copy of this. I'm going to read that on vacation. Okay, here we've got Heart of Glass by Jennifer Hillier. It's coming on August 25th. 25 years ago in Seaside, Washington, a charming drifter named Sam met three inseparable teenage girls at the local amusement park. Days later, one of them was found dead. Barb and Nicolette were shocked to learn that the man that they all met at Wonderland was the carnival killer. After he's arrested for murders of five young women, one of whom was their best friend Lorelei, Nicolette moves to the city to pursue her dreams of being famous. Barb stayed behind in Seaside, eventually becoming a reporter on the local paper. But when the carnival killer recants his confession and a new body washes ashore on the eve of Wonderland's grand reopening, the secrets that Barb and Nicolette have worked so hard to bury begin to resurface, threatening to destroy everything in their carefully constructed lives. And she is the USA Today author of Little Secrets. And her editor passed this one along to me. He thinks this is one of her best books, if not her best. Not a Word by Linwood Barclay. Everybody knows how much I love Linwood Barclay. He's going to be one of our fall reading titles. The book comes out on August 25th. When Reese visits his parents' house, he's shocked to find them in bed dead. First glance, it looks like murder-suicide perpetuated by his father, but on closer inspection, there's clearly more to the story. For starters, inconsistencies in a crime scene suggest his dad may not have shot himself. As Reese, shaken by his horrifying discovery, awaits questioning from the police, his phone lights up with a call. It's the last person he would ever expected to hear from. Reeling from the day's events, he finds himself questioning everything he thought he knew about his parents and whether he and his own family are in danger now. While the authorities work to untangle the baffling crime scene, Reese is pulled into a web of secrets linked to the unscrupulous pharma company his father worked for years ago. And David Cope says Lyman Barkley is a flat-out master of the modern thriller. What I really like is the way he uses language and how he brings us into the characters. It's one of the things I enjoy most when I'm reading a Lyman Barkley book. Now we've got The Opposite of Murder by Sophie Hannah. I don't know if The Opposite of Murder is birth. I mean, I got to think about this. It's on sale on August 25th. Gemma Stelling walks into a police station and confesses, not to a murder she's committed, but to one she's terrified she might. Gemma can't stop herself from thinking about murdering her stepmother, Marian Upton. The only way she can stop herself might be to confess before she snaps and does the unthinkable. But while Gemma is still giving her statement, a call comes in. Marianne has just been found stabbed to death, killed in exactly the way Gemma described. Suddenly, the woman is desperate to prevent a murder has an unshakable alibi and a disturbingly accurate description of the crime she couldn't have committed. She an innocent bystander or a brilliant cold-blooded killer who planned everything down to the minute. So I really love the subtitle on this. What if the only way you could prevent a murder was to confess to it? So there's the latest from Sophie Hannah. Okay, Tess Gerritsen's back, and she's back with her Martini Club. This is called The Shadow Friends. It's coming on August 25th. When a renowned disease expert and Russian defector dies mysteriously during a global affairs conference in Purity, Maine, the tight band of former spies in the Martini Club once again see their quiet coastal retirement interrupted by international intrigue. And when a waitress at the conference hotel is found murdered, Ingrid Slocum sees chilling links to a disastrous mission that nearly killed her 3 decades ago. Desperate to uncover the truth, Ingrid is drawn back into the game by a magnetic ex-CIA colleague and former lover who is with her on the long ago doomed mission. He convinces her to join him, and together they head to Amsterdam to track down her would-be killer. But a clandestine network of assassins is intent on stopping them. So there you've got The Shadow Friends. Next from JT Ellison, it's You Know Why, coming on August 25th as well. It's the holidays, and photographer Brooklyn Locke is bound for Italy with her husband Trey and their 2 children. But when Trey vanishes from the airport, missing their connecting flight, their impromptu vacation and life as she knows it begin to unravel. Desperate to find her husband, Brooklyn accepts help from a stranger on the same flight, Eden Barrow. But Eden soon makes a shocking claim. She's the sister of Trey's first wife, and 10 years ago, he was the main suspect in her murder. Struggling to comprehend these accusations, fate delivers one more blow, a violent accident that leaves Brooklyn fighting for her life. With nowhere else to turn, Brooklyn leans on Eden for support. But each kindness feels too rehearsed, feeding her doubts about Eden's motives and Trey's true past. So you've got You Know Why. Um, Geneva Rose said this is twisting, gripping, and impossible to put down. And it really does sound that way. Next, we've got Agrippa coming from Robert Harris on September 1st. He was born feet first. His mother did not survive, and the nickname Agrippa, Mother Killer, stuck. But the schoolyard taunting only served to harden his resolve and hone his predilection for aggression. Agrippa was a mere commoner, a plebeian, but he earned the respect and fear of his peers. He defended a bully young boy, Octavius, who turned out to be Caesar's nephew. He eventually joined the ranks of the legionnaires and marched against their enemies. His prowess on the battlefield spoke for himself, and Caesar relied on him to protect his favorite nephew. Protect his favored nephew. When Caesar was murdered in the Senate, Octavius inherited the empire in name only, and to assume the mantle, he would have to fight for it. And Agrippa, forever by his side, would be his closest advisor and merciless agent of military will. So there you've got Robert Harris's latest. Okay, we've got Mother, Daughter, Sister, Stranger by one of our favorites, Hank Phillippe Ryan. This I'm going to be interviewing her in the next couple of weeks. It's a fall reading selection. It's coming out September 1st. The sole survivors of a thyroid plane crash that killed their parents, Eliza Ramsey and her sister B, share an unbreakable bond. But now, on the 11th anniversary of the tragedy, B fails to retrieve her preteen daughter from a sleepover at Eliza's. Eliza knows her sister would never leave her precious Piper behind, and she fears the worst. But did Bee plan her own disappearance? The Ramseys' lives have already crashed and burned once, and now Eliza discovers she's the only one who can protect her niece from the horrifying legacy of her family's sinister history. Together, the two must prevent their lives from going up in flames once again. Lisa Scottolini said it's riveting. I couldn't put it down, and until after its final shocking twist. This is from Hank. We'll have a contest about this and lots more going on with it. Do some memoirs, biographies, and other nonfiction. We're going to kick it off with Days of Miracle and Wonder by Ashley Kahn, a book that I am reading right now and very excited about. It's Paul Simon and the Trials and Triumphs of Graceland, Graceland, the album. I'm actually going to an event about this tomorrow night at Rizzoli in the city. Looking forward to meeting Ashley. And there's going to be a member of the original Graceland band there. They're going to be interviewed by the senior music editor at Rolling Stone. Should be a really fun night. This album, I've actually been listening to it more and more. And it's funny that I still call it an album. Like, are they still albums when you just listen to it wherever? But listening to it more and more. And the book has made me feel appreciate it more and more as well. Let me give you the story and then I'll go back and tell you how something really funny happened with this. In 1984, Paul Simon was at his professional and personal crossroads. Driving around that summer, a bootleg cassette of Township Drive, street music of South Africa, kept him company. Began to invent his own lyrics to the groove, began drawn to the idea of recording with the musicians on that tape. But South Africa was in the thrall of a racist apartheid system, and such an undertaking was risky. He took a fateful trip to Johannesburg in 1985, and it would turn out to be the first step on a musical journey that would lead him to New York, Los Angeles, Louisiana, and London, and eventually to the release of Graceland, a critical and commercial triumph that spawned a 5-year worldwide tour. And I remember that. Days of Miracle Wonder is the first book to tell the full story of Graceland. I usually don't read the last page in a book like ever, but the other day I wrote the publicist and I said, the one thing I really remember most about this book was we were at Madison Square Garden for a concert. We were in seats that were pretty good. They were down like close to the floor. And I looked up at one point and everybody was dancing on the other levels in this conga line going through. My husband said it's one of his favorite concerts he's ever been at. And everybody's dancing around. And the end of this book, on the last page, Ashley talks about being at the garden and seeing that exact same thing I saw, and seeing, he says, all these young people moving around in beat to the music. And he realized, yeah, we did really get it right. And his last word is thank you, Paul, at the end of the book. But the fact that he saw that same thing is really interesting to me. So I've talked a lot about this book, but it's really good. It's really good. Okay, Hannah Arendt by Thomas Meyer is coming out this week. Drawing on newly discovered archival materials and previously overlooked documents, Thomas Meyer tells the story of an intellectual icon whose character and ideas continue to captivate and challenge us to this day. Tracing a new Hannah Arendt's a journey from I'm probably not going to get this right, Königsberg to Paris, where she fled after being imprisoned in 1933, and finally to New York in 1941. Meyer illuminates her formative years in the development of her radical and brilliant books, such as well as her lifelong philosophical debate with Martin Heidegger, whose Nazism was a permanent challenge for her. Meyer's account centers on two pivotal phrases: Arndt's years in Paris after fleeing Nazi Germany and her time in the United States, leading to the landmark publication of The Origins of Totalitarianism in 1951. So there you've got A Life of the Mind. Next, we've got The Everest Mystery by Julie Summers and Joaquin Haleb, which is coming on August 25th. There's no mystery more compelling in the history of mountaineering than the disappearance of George Mallory and Sandy Irvine close to the summit of Mount Everest on June 8th, 1924. Over 100 years after they were last seen going strong for the top, the question of exactly what happened to them on that fateful day has never been answered. George Mallory's frozen remains were discovered in 1999. Imagine that. But in September 2024, a climber found an old boot lying out in the open of the central Rongbuk Glacier on Mount Everest. It contained a foot and a sock bearing the name tape that spelled out in red A.C. Irvine. Did Mallory and Irvine reach the summit, or did they perish while ascending? What happened to the camera that Irvine may have carried, which would have documented their climb? So there is Sandy Irvine, George Mallory, and the truth still buried up on Everest. And that's an amazing story all these years later. Okay, October titles to look forward to. I can't believe I'm talking about October. I feel like I should buy Halloween candy or something. Okay, we've got Cormac McCarthy by Tracy Dougherty, and it's coming on October 6th. Cormac McCarthy is hailed as one of America's greatest novelists. In his body of work, the nation's story is told in let me see if I can do this. Oh my gosh, why can't I do this word? Uncompared. We're going to do that. Vivid shades of violence, greed, and love. I don't know what it is today, folks. And yet his most personal story has been largely untold until now. Early in life, McCarthy chose to devote himself almost exclusively to his literary pursuits. This book movingly details what this choice cost him in his family relationships, his marriages, and his friendships. Mentally and physically restless, often solitary and yet gregarious and charming, McCarthy lived as wildly, complexly, and close to the bone as any of his characters, journeying often to remote locations, communing deeply with the natural world, and traversing intricate emotional and psychological terrain. In his novels, he reported wisdom hard learned through harsh experience and intense observation. So there we've got a legacy revisited. Next, coming on October 6th, we've got Every Story is a Love Story coming from Mboa Muli. You probably remember her. I can't remember. Tom will remind us later what her best-selling book was. Cannot remember the title right now. 3 years ago, Wolo's wife was killed in a tragic accident. In the face of a loss that seemed unsurmountable, Wolo slowly rebuilt a semblance of a life. Then a letter arrives one day that threatens to upend his life once again. It's from Victoria, the woman who was behind the wheel that terrible day. Wolo's family pastor tells him the letter is the work of the devil, and his mother expressly forbids him from making further mention of it. Woa ponders it for days and ultimately agrees to meet with the woman who killed his wife. And when he does, the compassion and deep remorse of the woman affects him in ways he never imagined, and he begins to wonder if the long road to healing can be shared. So this book,
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll just jump in. Behold the Dreamers was her previous book. There was also How Beautiful We Were. Those were her
Yes,
two books.
that's the one I'm thinking of. I think that's the one I think that was her debut. I think that was her debut. Yes, because
Um,
I've read her before. I could swear I've read her for one of the.
yeah, Behold the Dreamers was her debut. How Beautiful We Were was her second novel.
I think it was Behold the Dreamers, and I think I did it for Book Expo. I think that's where I read it.
I think so,
I think
yes.
so.
That
Let's go
sounds
back in
familiar.
history. Yeah, sounds personal. Yeah, she's a very good writer. I remember that. Okay, Life Out of Order by Audrey Diffenegger. Do you remember that book, The Time Traveler's Wife? Yep, remember that book? Well, here we're picking the story back up. It's gone on sale October 6th. Alba de Tambol has never lived a life in order. Born with the same rare chronodisplacement disorder as her father, Alba, is an involuntary time traveler. She slips unpredictably through decades, carrying the weight of a future she can witness but cannot change. Yet she strives to maintain a normal life. As a gifted violinist, Alba finds refuge in her music, as well as her tight knit community of artists and activists who fight to take care of each other in an increasingly unstable world. She dips in and out of time, and she's haunted by secrets she must keep from those she loves most. Her journey eventually takes her to the digital corridors of the Museum of Lost Souls, a virtual sanctuary of forgotten memories and lost artifacts. Curating the museum is Isadora, Alba's mysterious stepsister, an increasingly unsettling presence in their family, whose fate may be intertwined with Alba's in more dangerous ways than she knows. So there we've got the latest from Audrey. And I don't know how many of you remember have read The Time Traveler's Wife. It's going to be interesting to see, like Life Out of Order. What does this do? Can you read the books by themselves? Can you read them as standalones? We shall see. From Stephen King and Peter Straub, we've got Other Worlds Than These coming on October 6th. This is Stephen King and Peter Straub's long awaited finale to the Talisman trilogy and a wrapping up of the fate of the worlds in King's iconic Dark Tower epic. Other Worlds Than These is the story of Jack Sawyer, whom readers first met in the Talisman when he was 12, crossing America and the territories to save his mother's life, and met again in Black House, where Jack faces a child killer and the Crimson King, among other evils. This time, Jack must stop a rampaging gang of infected teenagers from America's side and the forces of the mysterious gullet at the edge of Midworld before it destroys our world and all worlds. Jack is older now. His kaitet, echoing of the world of Roland, is fraying, and his task is nearly impossible. So, this is the wrap up of this series. Okay, we've got Partita coming from Barbara Kingsolver on October 6th. Livia Cable has made her peace with her marriage and modest livelihood in the farm country where she grew up until a shocking phone call from an older lover shakes her to the core. Decades earlier, this man knew her as Livia uh, Bohus, a music conservatory student estranged from her home and her family, uncertain of anything except her passion for her music and a promise of as an extraordinary pianist. His request to see her stirs up ghosts she's kept at bay for a lifetime. Shifting between past and present, Livy's decision to meet or reject the reunion means confronting step by step in memories framed as musical dances the experiences of childhood loss, abandonment, an emulating passion, and the perilous attachment to a man who broke her belief in love and ruptured the course of her life. And we know her, of course, as the Pulitzer Prize winning author of Demon Copperhead. Okay, we've got The Bluff coming from Wade Rouse on October 13th, because in the publishing world, Christmas kicks off, or the holidays kick off in October. And actually to make sure that the books are in stores and everything is ready for the holiday, because most stores don't have any time to open boxes for books once mid-November hits. So this is going to be one of our fall reading book giveaways. October 13th, the date it comes out. So what's it about? The Chapmans do Christmas the way they do everything, impeccably, expensively, and with the unshaken belief that good lighting can conceal bad blood. Their annual Christmas card may look picture perfect, but behind the polite smiles, there's a storm brewing. This year, at their grand lakefront cottage on Mackinac Island, a snowstorm trapped generations of Chapmans and their schemes under one roof. Snow piles up, so do the grievances. Chris and Kat's children, fiercely liberal Lee and conservative Golden Boy Chip, are locked in a battle of the wits. Chris' vaguely corrupt brother Cormac and his calculating trophy wife are stirring up the pot, and Kat's mother is holding onto a secret that could upend the entire game. So there we've got The Bluff, and you know it's going to be raucously funny if it's coming from Wade. Next, we've got another book for the holidays as well. It's called Home for the Homicides, and it's coming from El Casamano and Hannah Morrissey. This is the first in a series that they're doing, which is called Love and Murder Under the Mistletoe, also coming on October 13th. Welcome to Christmas, a town so cozy and charming it could be the backdrop of a Hallmark movie. So when a tourist is found stabbed to death by an icicle ornament in the middle of town nativity scene, the local police are out of their depths. Special Agent Holly Frost and Mark Shepard are on thin ice after screwing up on the job. This assignment is their one shot at redemption. They can put aside their bitter rivalry. And of course, it's not only their careers on the line, it's their hearts too. Regrets of their holiday party hookup last year haunt them like ghosts of Christmas past. So they both want to wrap up this rom-com gone wrong as quickly as possible. But with just 12 days until the annual Jingle Bells Jubilee Festival, the countdown to catch a killer without killing each other is on. This promises to be amusing as well as it promises to be fun. Amusing and fun. How's that? Okay, Peck and Peck by Bonnie Garmus. Remember she wrote that little book, Lessons in Chemistry? Remember Lessons in Chemistry? Well, this is also coming on October 13th. It's 1982, New York City. Crime is on the rise. Muggings are in the streets. And Batter Gray, a recent college graduate, is worried about his future. Well, his friends have real jobs. He's folding t-shirts at the Gap. As for love, no, not unless he counts Sally Mae, the student loan tyrant he's hearing from all the time. When Batter gets a chance of a dream job at Peck and Peck, the most prestigious poetry quarterly in the world, his life moves into a literary fast lane. Soon Batter is knee-deep in the secret world between the two editors-in-chief, the famous Peck brothers, twins and enemies, as well as privy to the private affairs of their 39 editors whose professed mission is the same: find originality, reward creativity, burn the rest. And by burn, they mean incinerate. Because a Peck and Peck, good isn't good enough. Interesting doesn't cut it. Plagiarists aren't tolerated, and parolees run the mailroom. So if you want to submit your poem, go with God. So there we've got Peck and Peck. Next, we've got Samantha, the next chapter by Fiona Davis. It's coming on October 13th from American Girl Publishing. In honor of the 40th anniversary of the iconic American Girl brand, Fiona Davis was asked to write the first American Girl novel for adults. It's 1920, and 25-year-old Samantha Parkington is working hard to educate women in New York about suffrage and encouraging them to vote in the first presidential election that fall. But when Samantha's large inheritance, including her childhood Mount Bedford home, is stolen in a shocking scheme, she goes from socialite to shop girl overnight and experiences a very different side of New York City living in a boarding house. Searching for clues regarding the theft of her inheritance, Samantha infiltrates the business of a notorious criminal in New York City. Determined as ever, she will do whatever it takes to find answers and save her family's legacy. So there you've got this from Fiona Davis. She's also got a new book coming out in, I believe it's January. Believe it's January. She's sending it my way. Tom, if you could look up the name of that one for later on, I'd appreciate it. Like when we wrap this up. Okay, and then we've got Miss Wolcott's Ghost coming from Louise Penny on October 20th. There's a body in Lost Nation. Where? Demands Armand as he scribbles in on the pad by his bed. But the line goes dead before Chief Inspector Garmache can't question the caller. The head of homicide for the Sûreté de Quebec has no idea where Lost Nation is or who woke him up in the small hours of the morning at his home in Three Pines. So Armand is thrust into the surrounding forest in search of the mythical Lost Nation and a body. And when he and his team find both, the situation only grows more bizarre. The unidentified dead man appears to be from an era more than a century old. Adding to the mystery, the early morning call appears to be from Armand's friend and neighbor, Clara Morrow. While she denies any knowledge of it, it becomes clear there's some connection between her, the Morrow family, and Lost Nation. So there's Miss Wolcott's Ghost, the latest from Louise. Next, we've got The Piano Teacher of Montparnasse, which is coming from Heather Morris, and it is coming on October 20th. It's 1942. The Nazis come for a Jewish family living in this area of occupied Paris. In the chaos of their arrest, 11-year-old Josephine runs to the only person she can trust, her piano teacher, Andre Levios, a secret French resistance operative. He takes her in as a member of the family, spreading their rations and risking everything to keep her safe. But his authorities will soon close in, and both Andre and Josie are caught in a desperate race to stay alive. And this is in occupied Paris in 1942. She was the author of The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Next, we've got Royal Witch coming from Philippa Gregory on October 20th. 1420, Eleanor Cobham arrives at the court of Henry V. Pretty but not highborn, she hopes for nothing more than to marry well. It's a golden age for England. Its royal family dynasty stretches across the world, but chaos waits in the shadows. Betrayals and shifts of power change the flourishing world, and that Eleanor has stepped into. Breaking in the household of a countess who commands her own army, Eleanor begins to see for the first time what a woman is capable of, what men's promises are truly worth. As a safe, comfortable future she envisioned begins to shift, Eleanor changes with it, and now she must use her wits to survive and to rise. Her newfound ambition will cower further than any other woman before has dared. But if she's to rule England itself, she will need to turn to darker arts. And there's the latest from Philippa. From Michael Connolly, we've got The Hollow coming on October 27th. When Harry Bosch was 11 years old, his mother was murdered. Became a ward of the state, housed in McLaren Children's Center, a notorious facility where abuse was rampant. Decades after its closure, a massive class action lawsuit has resulted in a multi-billion-dollar settlement for former residents. But when Bosch's half-brother, defense attorney Mickey Howler, brings him word that Harry is entitled to $400,000, he said he doesn't want the money, he wants justice. News of the settlement awakens Bosch's memories of the place he'd hoped to never revisit, and a boy named Chops, a fellow inmate who wound up dead. Chops's body was found in a hidden space under a staircase where the staff used to discipline their charges. The kids knew it only as the Hollow, but Chop's death was covered up and never solved. Now Bosch knows he must reopen the investigation and learn the truth, even if the killer is long dead. So this is a Bosch novel that's also got some Mickey Howler in it as well. Okay, these are for notable paperback releases for August. All This Could Be Yours by Hank Philippi Ryan, Philippa Gregory's The Bowen Trader, The Break-In by Catherine Faulkner, Mick Herron's Clowntown, The 11th Hour by Salman Rushdie, The Impossible Fortune by somebody whose name I can't read. Let me see. If I move this, I might screw the whole thing up.
It's Richard Osman.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.
Sure.
The Time of Five Pumpkins by Alexander McCall Smith, The Widow by John Grisham, The Lost Baker of Vienna by Sharon Kurtzman, Sophie Kinsella's What Does It Feel Like, Wreck by Catherine Newman, and The Black Wolf by Louise Penny. All this could be yours. The Break-In, The Lost Baker, and What Does It Feel Like were all bets on selections of mine. And I have interviews with Hank, Catherine, and Sharon Kurtzman. So there's what we've got that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Okay, this is where I am on book bets on selections. I'm up to 21 right now. There are four more that are coming. It's been a really great year for reading so far. I'm having a really good time. So here's what we've got so far that's happening. We'll be doing our year-end contest. We're also putting together the books for that. So lots going on. These are the latest Book Reporter Talks to video and podcasts that we've done. Nadia Hashimi's City of Widows, amazing book. These are all amazing books. Every single one of them I could talk for hours about. Little Wonder by Sophie Chen Keller. Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt by Ben Reeves. The Half-Life by Rachel Beanland. This Changes Everything by Lisa Scottolini. And Single Girls by John Searles. Every single one of them is definitely discussion worthy, talk worthy. Really enjoyed them all. Okay, we've got this contest that's running until Monday for this James Patterson and David Ellis book. I have to tell you that I was handed the copy of the Munich Affair and I started reading it and then I couldn't put it down. It is so well done. And it is about something happened with Hitler and his this murder of his young niece that he was using her as his sexual toy and then from there murdered her and how this was all hidden and how it was all hidden for the whole time of what was going on in Germany and how many people might have known parts of the story but didn't say anything and didn't know. It is just extremely well done. And it's actually for the first night that this woman is actually seen by many people is the night that she's out singing. And it's really interesting to see where the whole book goes from there. And there are some people that are actually looking to tell this true story and how they're going to bring it to everybody else and what happens to them along the way as well. So you've got until Monday to win one of 25 copies and share your comments about it. So we're looking for people who can read this and share comments so that we have them when the book comes out in September, end of September. And okay, over on Reading Group Guides, we've got a contest for Lisa Scottolini's This Changes Everything. One group is going to win 10 copies of This Changes Everything and a book group chat with Lisa. Additionally, we're awarding one copy to 10 readers who will give us feedback and share it with their book group. And even if you're not selected to win copies of the book, we're giving 4 readers and their book groups a chance to chat with Lisa virtually. The deadline to enter is next Wednesday, August 19th. Lisa is brilliantly fun in conversation. I caught her, she did a beautiful event at her home the week before the book came out, or the weekend before the book came out, and I caught her on tour. And she's just so genuine, and she just loves to tell stories and loves her storytelling and really getting you behind her characters and why she wrote the story that she's written. It definitely would be a fun experience to have a chat with her, with your group. Okay, our final summer reading contest is running right now. And it is for a book that Kristen Hanna wrote in, I think it's 2002, called Distant Shores.
That's
That
right. It's 2002.
2002 has just been rejacketed. So we have it as part of the contest. The contest is you can enter by tomorrow, August 13th. How is almost half the month gone already at 12 noon? And these are the culmination of all of our summer reading titles. And for those of you who read along with us and entered contest, thank you so much. It was so much fun to bring these books to our readers. It's been a good season. And we're getting set for fall. And look at this. We have 8 fall titles already ready to go. First week, it will be God's Country by William Kent Krueger and The Unstoppables by David Barrow. The first contest is going to go up on the 18th, Tom, the 18th.
Yeah, so the first 2 contests will be up at noon Eastern next Tuesday, the 18th, and Wednesday, the 19th.
So there you go. Ready to go. We're moving right into fall. We just move those seasons along. For those that are looking, why do you have the women there? Because it's coming in paperback on September 15th. So you're thinking, they're like, why are the women a fall selection? You're like, how are you guys thinking like that? Okay, so remember I mentioned word of mouth earlier. Okay, by Friday, August 21st at noon, if you tell us which book you're reading and tell us a little bit about it, you're entered to win one of three copies of God's Country by William Kent Kruger and Under the Falls by Richard Russo. Now, I know we've got more than 200 people here right now, and I would love each of you to make sure that you go out to word of mouth and tell us what you're reading, because I know you're reading something, and to go out there and just tell us what you're reading and a little line about it, because we like this feature to be really big and I want it to be bigger. So there's my thoughts about word of mouth. And here come the one, guys. It's Wednesday. Oh my gosh, here comes the lawnmowers. Okay. We are going to do a special Bookaccino Live fall preview evening event on Tuesday, September 15th at 8 o'clock. And we're going to talk about a lot of books coming out this fall. Tell your friends, tell the people who have plans during the day and can never attend any of these events that it's going to be Tuesday, September 15th at 8, and you want to be part of this. Because we'll be pulling together books from probably from now through the end of the year. So what's fall? Fall goes probably till the end of the year. These seasons are kind of murky. Many thanks to our intern, Brooke, who helped us build this presentation. I've had some fabulous interns this summer, and Brooke has been fabulous at working on these presentations, this presentation, and she'll be working on a couple going up. Our next Bookaccino book preview event in the afternoon will be a preview of books releasing from September 8th through October 6th and a peek ahead at November. And it's going to be on Wednesday, September 9th. We're taking a week off the week of, I guess it's the 31st. So it'll be the second day we're back at work. So this should be very interesting as how we pull this together quickly for you. So that's the next time we'll be doing one of these presentations. And we hope that you found books that you wanted to enjoy, read, etc. as a part of today. And thank you so much.